back to the deep dive. We're here to, cut through the noise and really get to what matters. If you're like me, you'll probably feel this modern thing, right? We're constantly connected, phones buzzing, endless feeds of friends. Yet so many of us feel, well, deeply alone sometimes. There's this real craving for something more, something genuine, that unfiltered connection. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Today we're diving deep into Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay, Friendship, originally published way back in 1841. But we're not just looking at the old text. We've got this fantastic updated edition from EVG Books. It includes modern contributions by Evelyn Green from 2025, which adds a really fresh perspective. So our mission here, for you listening, is to pull out that timeless wisdom, bridge the gap between the 19th century and our crazy 21st century lives. The idea is to give you a shortcut to understanding what real friendship looks like, those aha moments, but without getting bogged down in jargon. So thinking about Emerson and Evelyn Green's take.
It really is fascinating, isn't it? Emerson's ideas, seen through Green's modern lens, they really poke at our cultural norms. Think about it, hyperconnectivity, instant gratification, these curated online selves we all manage. This deep dive, it's more than just understanding friendship. It's about questioning our whole way of connecting with people. It really pushes you to think critically about quality, not just the sheer number of contacts you have. Our goal is for you to get some real insights into building friendships that last, that are authentic, and maybe even more, what it takes to be a true friend. We'll use specifics, quotes from Emerson, insights from Green, to show just how relevant this all still feels today.
I like that reevaluating our whole approach. And I guess that starts with redefining the term itself. Emerson kicks off by questioning, what do we even mean when we say friend? He suggests we often project ideals onto people, like we fall for the idea of someone, not always the real person. But he also points to something subtler. This quiet current of love, he calls it. A warmth exchanged without any performance. Not the loud stuff at parties, but that quieter knowing. What is that exactly, that quiet knowing?
Yeah, what's interesting is how Emerson tackles this, what friend means, not with some strict definition, but with a feeling. He's not really interested in the transactional side, the surface level. He's talking about that unspoken recognition. Maybe a look across a room that just says, yeah, I get it. No words needed. Today, we've sort of mixed up being available with being intimate, haven't we? We're surrounded by people, reachable 24/7 via text or social media, but often starved for genuine presence. Evelyn Green really emphasizes this. Friendship, like Emerson said, isn't about how often you talk. It's about the depth. It's about what wakes up inside you when you're with someone. That feeling of being more alive, more thoughtful, that's the echo Emerson talks about. But, like you said, we project our hopes onto them, and when they turn out to be, human, messy, and imperfect, the magic can seem to fade. But that's not the end, it's actually the beginning. It pushes us deeper past the surface into a more honest, accepting place.
That's a really powerful way to look at it, necessary shift. Okay, so if we understand what a friend is not just an ideal or constant availability, how do Emerson and Green help us spot the spark of real connection? What does that otherworldly yes, as they put it, actually feel like? And why is it so important that it's unforced?
Well, Emerson describes the spark as something that just happens. You can't engineer it. It arrives suddenly, like recognizing a voice you feel like you've always known, or stepping into a conversation that feels like coming home. He says, the soul lights up in the presence of its kind. It's an ease, right? A lightness, like you're finally seen without needing to explain everything. And Evelyn Green's take on this spark, it really hits home in our curated world. We don't really talk much about how rare it is to genuinely click with someone, not just get along, but feel that immediate, almost physical yes, an affirmation that bypasses your rational mind. Emerson got the spiritual resonance long before we had buzzwords like soulmate or vibe check. He knew real friendship isn't scheduled, it's not negotiated. It cuts through the politeness and lands right in your core. These sparks feel rare, maybe not because good people are scarce, but because truly present, open attention is scarce. Think about it in a world of constant partial attention, checking phones mid-conversation. Emerson's otherworldly yes feels revolutionary. It demands total open engagement. Green often asks, are we truly available for that spark? Or are we too busy performing connection, maybe even blocking it without realizing?
That's a challenging question. Are we really available? I love that focus on the quality of connection, not just the number. But okay, say we find that spark, that rare connection. We naturally want to hold on to it, maybe too tightly. Emerson gives this strong warning. Don't touch the magic. He says something beautiful, like, let it be an ethereal and delicious theory, too pure for the ground. He seems to suggest that trying to define it too much or force it into everyday boxes can diminish its special quality. Green connects this to how we tend to over-communicate now, over-manage relationships, asking if we're, like, watering down good wine. What else counts as spoiling the magic, beyond just talking it to death?
Right, and this is where Evelyn Green's points about respecting emotional boundaries really come in. Our modern culture struggles with space, doesn't it? Constant check-ins, expecting instant replies. Silence can feel like a problem. But Emerson is asking us to do less, not out of neglect, but out of reverence, respect. He means we shouldn't try to pin it down, label it, dissect the connection itself. True friendship, he argues, it's like firelight or music. You don't need to poke it to know it's real. Trying too hard can break the spell. It's like trying to explain a sunset by counting photons. You miss the whole point, the experience. Green puts it beautifully. Boundaries aren't barriers here. They're part of the beauty. They keep the friendship alive, wild, not controlled. They allow it to unfold organically instead of this forced, kind of suffocating closeness we sometimes aim for. It's about loving someone without needing to possess them, trusting the connection even when there's distance or silence, knowing real bonds aren't that fragile.
That makes so much sense. Trusting the bond enough to just let it be, let it breathe, and building on that idea of space. Emerson says something quite radical for today. Absence is part of it. We often think closeness means constant contact, but he argues real friendship actually thrives on space. When we're apart, our appreciation deepens. The image of our friend becomes clearer, maybe more honest. He challenges us to trust the connection, to let a friend disappear for a bit without panicking, without seeing it as rejection. That's pretty wild for our always-on world, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And this is so relevant now when checking in constantly is normal and silence gets misinterpreted so easily as disinterest or worse. Hyperconnectivity can lead to burnout. And if a friend goes quiet, our own insecurities can flare up fast. But Emerson, especially with Green's framing, offers this liberating idea. Distance isn't neglect, it's part of the rhythm of real connection. A sacred rhythm, even. Think about it when you give a friend room to live their own life. Trust the bond without daily proof. Doesn't their return feel richer? Emerson reminds us, the friendships that matter, they tend to return, often because they had room to breathe. They weren't smothered like so many connections are today. A true friend doesn't need constant updates to feel close. Their presence lingers. It's a foundational understanding that time or miles don't really erode. Absence lets the soul stretch. Both people rediscover themselves, bring fresh energy back. Many relationships probably break not from distance, but from that inability to let each other just be separate and whole.
Okay, so Emerson is calling for this spacious, almost reverent connection. But when you have that much respect, that much space for someone, doesn't that also set the stage for a deeper, maybe more challenging kind of intimacy? What does it take then for the courage to be honest, to actually show up in a friendship?
You've absolutely hit on a critical point there. If we're giving space, honoring the magic, it's because we deeply value the person. And that value, that love, that's precisely what makes honesty possible. Necessary, even. Emerson says the truest friend tells you the truth, even the hard truth. Not cruelly, but with love. This isn't just casual feedback. It takes immense courage. Courage to offer it, and maybe even more courage to receive it. He famously said, "A real friend wants your growth, not just your approval." That hits hard, right? Especially today, when we often reward politeness over real presence. Surface agreement feels safer. Evelyn Green really drives this home. If friendship is real, it can't be built on flattery or fear of rocking the boat. It needs soul-level honesty, the kind that wants more for you than just comfort. It takes guts to say, "Hey, you don't seem like yourself," or "I see you struggling." But if it comes from genuine care, that's grace. It's not about blame. It's about honoring what's real, helping your friend align with their best self. A friend who risks your approval for your growth, that's rare. That's sacred. The opposite of love isn't hate or anger, it's indifference. Emerson argues true friendship is so far from indifference, it demands that courageous, loving truth.
That kind of honesty pushing for growth. It implies friendships aren't static, right? They're alive. And as we grow, friendships have to grow too, sometimes together, sometimes, well, apart. How do Emerson and Green help us handle that, the reality of growing together or apart?
Emerson, always looking to nature, reminds us that nothing alive just stays the same. It can't. And Evelyn Green's reflections point out something uncomfortable. We often treat friendships like these fixed things, expecting them to be the same forever, like a contract. But real friendship isn't about freezing someone in time. It's about being present to who they are now, holding space for their changes and allowing our own. That takes emotional maturity, doesn't it? Because we naturally crave stability. Emerson understood that clinging to an old version of a friend, or the friendship itself, actually stops both people from moving forward. He talked about the law of fluid and flowing. Life is change. Some friendships will fade. And that's okay. Maybe their purpose was for a specific chapter. They taught you something, then gently receded. Others might go quiet for ages and then come back, renewed, richer because of the separate journeys. And a few rare ones, they grow alongside you like twin trees, always finding shared ground, adapting together. Letting go isn't always failure. Sometimes it's the most respectful, loving thing, honoring individual paths, even if they diverge. It's accepting friendship as a process, not a fixed state.
This whole journey through friendship, it seems to lead back to something deep within ourselves. Emerson makes this pretty radical statement, especially for today: the friend within. He says, yeah, we long for friendship, but there's something even more fundamental. Being okay, being at home in your own skin. No one else can fully complete you. Every real friendship, he thinks, starts and ends with who you are when you're alone. Until you cultivate your own inner life, what you offer isn't really love, it's need. Can you unpack that a bit more, especially now with all the focus on external validation?
Yeah, Green's modern take really digs into Emerson's quiet, kind of radical truth about becoming your own friend first. Our culture is obsessed with external connection, right? Likes, comments, scrolling. It's easy to confuse just being around people with real intimacy, or to fill every silence. We're always looking outside ourselves for that sense of completion. But the deepest friendships, they come from meeting yourself first, building a rich inner world, a sense of self where you're not waiting for an invitation, you already belong to yourself. From that solid ground, any friendship becomes a gift, not a desperate need. Emerson's version of friendship is fiercely honest. It starts not by merging, but by standing side by side. Two whole individuals who've done the work of becoming themselves. When two self-reliant souls connect, not out of need, but recognition, shared abundance, that's when friendship gets holy. Enriching, not draining. It's the paradox. The more self-sufficient you become, the better friend you can actually be. Because your love comes from fullness, not emptiness.
That's incredibly freeing, isn't it? Offering love from fullness, not from need. Which brings us to the end point. What friendship can be. The ideal, and yeah, the sometimes messy but still sacred, reality. Emerson admits the dream of perfect friendship. No words needed, no masks. It's hard, maybe impossible to sustain perfectly. But he urges us not to cheapen the word friend. Don't throw it around lightly. Friendship at its best is more subtle, more spiritual. It's the feeling that someone else truly sees you, your essence, and welcomes it. And this kind of bond takes strength. It asks you to love without possessing, honor without flattering, show up as your whole, imperfect self. He concludes by saying, if you felt that connection even once, you know. Real friendship is one of the closest things to the divine we get to touch.
Evelyn Green's reflections here remind us, yeah, we live in a world calling everyone a friend on social media, but we all know the difference deep down, acquaintance versus soul connection. True friendship, Emerson says, is soul work. It's quiet, it's luminous, it's fiercely honest, it's not always pretty, not always convenient. It asks you to be raw, to love without owning, to stay honest, even when it's uncomfortable. It doesn't demand the other person meet every single expectation. It invites you both to meet reality with all its bumps and flaws. And sometimes, yeah, you won't meet each other where you hoped, and that can hurt. But even those frictions, those uncomfortable moments, they teach us, they refine us. Still, Emerson says, don't let go of the ideal, because striving for it shapes who we become. The point of friendships isn't just to make you feel good, it's to refine you. Expand your capacity for love, for truth, to reflect back the person you're becoming.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into Emerson, brought to life by Evelyn Green, what's the takeaway for our lives? It seems clear. Friendship isn't about more contacts. It's about cultivating presence, real presence, authentic connection, built on honesty, respect, space, letting each other grow, that courage to tell hard truths, to champion someone else's becoming. That's deep love, absence, solitude, not failures. They're vital. For the friendship and for coming home to ourselves, friendships change. Respecting that evolution, even if paths split, that's essential. And maybe the biggest one, cultivating the friend within first, offering love from fullness, not need.
Which really raises a core question for all of us, doesn't it? Something to sit with. How does hearing this make us look at our own friendships, our own inner lives? What does it truly mean to be seen and to really see others through this lens Emerson and Green offer?
Exactly. So for you listening, here's maybe a final thought to chew on, building on all this. What expectations are you putting on your friends right now that maybe come from fear rather than love? Or how could you create a little more space in your life? Space for those unexpected, unexplainable connections to just show up instead of trying to force them. This whole exploration reminds us that friendship, at its highest, it's a shared becoming. And maybe, as Emerson felt, one of the closest things to the divine we ever get to touch.
And Evelyn Green really has done a wonderful job making these classics from Emerson so accessible with her modern reflections. Those updated works, including Friendship, they're available from EVG Books.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you continue seeking this kind of wisdom in your own connections, deepening how you understand yourself and others. And remember, you're your first home. Build it strong.